A young girl asks Elon Musk about God. His answer leaves everyone speechless. In a quiet hall in Boulder, Colorado, a question was posed that stopped Elon Musk in his tracks. It wasn't about rockets or artificial intelligence, nor the next frontier of electric vehicles. It was a question so profound, so raw, that it left one of the world's most innovative minds searching for words. The question came not from an academic or journalist, but from a young girl with a heart full of wonder. Elon Musk, known for his sharp intellect, unorthodox thinking, and bold approach to life, stood at the front of the room. This was the man who famously claimed humanity needed to become a multiplanetary species to survive, and who had turned industries upside down with his ideas. Yet tonight, his focus wasn't on the future of humanity or the intricacies of innovation. It was on a crowd of locals who had come to see the man behind the headlines. Among them was a 10-year-old girl named Mia. She sat near the back of the room, her blonde hair neatly tied in a braid, holding a small sketchbook filled with her thoughts and doodles of planets and stars. Mia wasn't like the other kids her age. Her curiosity ran deep, often leading her to ask questions even adults struggled to answer. Her mother, seated beside her, whispered before the event began, "Mia, if you have the courage to ask, you might just hear something unforgettable." Mia had spent days preparing, jotting down the words she'd say if she got the chance. The question wasn't born from simple curiosity. It was the result of endless nights staring up at the stars, wondering if there was more to life than what she could see. As the evening unfolded, Musk captivated the audience. He spoke of his vision for a future where humans live on Mars, harness the sun's power, and push the boundaries of artificial intelligence. His signature blend of humor and brilliance lit up the room, drawing applause and nods of admiration. But in the back row, Mia waited patiently, her hands gripping the edges of her sketchbook, her heart pounding with nervous excitement. Finally, the moderator announced it was time for questions. A line quickly formed. One by one, people approached the microphone, asking about Tesla's new models, the intricacies of SpaceX missions, and the ethical implications of Neuralink. Mia hesitated. Her small frame seemed to shrink into her chair. But when her mother gave her a gentle nudge, she stood, clutching her sketchbook as if it were a shield. When it was her turn, Musk's eyes fell on her. His expression softened, a rare glimpse of warmth behind his often stoic demeanor. "What's your question, young lady?" he asked, his tone carrying encouraging patience. Mia took a deep breath and spoke, her voice barely above a whisper, but unwavering. "Mr. Musk, what does God mean to you?" The room fell into a heavy silence. Elon Musk, a man who had confidently tackled some of the world's most complex challenges, paused. Known for his skepticism of traditional systems and his belief in the power of human ingenuity, Musk had often sidestepped discussions of faith. Yet here, faced with the earnest question of a 10-year-old girl, he didn't deflect. "That's a big question," Musk said at last, his voice quieter than before. "And not one I have a simple answer for." He ran a hand through his hair, a familiar gesture of contemplation. "I've always been someone who looks for answers in science. For me, science is about understanding the universe, its laws, its patterns, its complexity. But even with all the equations and theories, there's so much we don't know. And in that unknown, maybe that's where God is." Musk, an engineer at heart, has often been candid about his views, questioning the limits of human understanding while embracing the power of curiosity. He has spoken of humanity as its own greatest force for progress. Yet moments like these reveal a deeper layer to his perspective. Mia's wide eyes never left Musk as he continued. "I think about God in terms of possibility," he said. "The vastness of the universe, the mysteries we haven't even begun to understand. Those are the things that keep me moving forward. It's not about knowing everything. It's about believing there's always something more to discover." For a man who often looked outward, toward the stars, the planets, the future of humanity, this was a rare moment of introspection. "God, if there is one," Musk added, "might not be something we can define. But I think it's the drive to seek, to learn, and to create. And that's what makes us human." The room remained silent, the weight of Musk's words settling over the crowd. Mia stood motionless, her sketchbook held tightly to her chest, as though absorbing every syllable. Musk's gaze softened as he looked at Mia. You know, he said, questions like yours are the reason we keep exploring. It's easy to get caught up in the answers we think we already have. But the truth is, the best discoveries often come from the questions that make us uncomfortable, the ones that force us to think differently. For Elon Musk, questions have always been the foundation of his work. Whether redefining transportation or imagining life on Mars, he has built his legacy on the idea that progress begins with curiosity and the courage to challenge the status quo. Mia's voice broke the stillness, clear and steady. My teacher says science and God don't mix. But I don't think that's true. Do you? A faint murmur rippled through the crowd at the boldness of the young girl's follow-up question. Musk chuckled softly, his demeanor both surprised and impressed. That's an interesting thought, he replied, his tone lighter but no less thoughtful. I don't think science and faith are opposites. Science is about figuring out how the world works, breaking it down into pieces we can understand. Faith, on the other hand, is about believing in what we can't yet see or prove. In a way, they're both about trying to make sense of the universe. Musk leaned slightly on the podium, his hands resting on its edge. Think about it like this, he said. When you look at the stars, what do you see? Mia hesitated, then answered softly, I see possibilities. Musk smiled, his expression almost paternal. Exactly, he said. Possibilities. That's what drives everything we do. Whether you call it God, the universe, or something else entirely, it's the belief that there's more out there, that we're part of something bigger than ourselves. In that quiet exchange, the narrator says, Musk didn't just answer Mia's question. He reminded everyone in the room that the line between science and faith is not as stark as it seems. Both are fueled by the same desire to understand, to seek, and to believe in something greater. A man from the middle of the room raised his hand, his voice carrying a reflective tone as he asked, Mr. Musk, do you think science will ever be able to explain everything? Or are there mysteries that we'll never solve? Musk smiled faintly, leaning into the podium as if settling in for a longer conversation. That's a fascinating question, he said. I think science is the best tool we have for understanding the universe. It's incredibly powerful. It's gotten us from fire to rockets, from simple tools to quantum computing. But the more I've studied and worked in science, the more I realize how much we don't know. For every answer we find, 10 more questions appear. Musk's views on science reflect his boundless curiosity and humility before the universe's enormity. For all his achievements, he often speaks of his work as just one small step in humanity's greater journey of discovery. Think about the stars, Musk continued. We know so much about them, what they're made of, how they form, how they die. And yet, the vast majority of the universe is made of dark matter and dark energy, things we don't understand at all. Will we ever figure it all out? Maybe, but maybe not. And I think that's okay. It's the pursuit that matters. The audience nodded, their expressions thoughtful. A young man raised his hand next. Do you think there's life out there? He asked. And if there is, what does that mean for us? Musk's face lit up, a spark of excitement in his eyes. I'd be shocked if there wasn't life out there, he said. The universe is unimaginably vast. Hundreds of billions of galaxies, each with billions of stars, and around many of those stars, planets. The odds that Earth is the only place where life exists? Incredibly slim. If we ever find it, and I think we will, it'll change everything. It'll force us to rethink who we are, our place in the cosmos, and what it means to be human. For Musk, the search for extraterrestrial life isn't just a scientific question. It's a philosophical one, tied to humanity's deepest hopes and fears about its place in the universe. The music swells softly, creating an atmosphere of awe. Mia raised her hand again, her courage growing. If we do find life, do you think they'll believe in God too? The room grew even quieter, the weight of the question settling over the audience. Musk paused, clearly struck by the depth of the inquiry. That's a fascinating idea, Mia. Musk said, if there's life out there, and they've reached the level of intelligence we have, then I imagine they'd have their own ways of thinking about existence, their own questions about purpose and meaning. Maybe they call it God, maybe something else. But I think the search for understanding, the drive to connect with something greater, is universal. The camera shifts to Mia, her eyes wide with wonder. Her mother placed a hand on her shoulder, her pride evident. Musk continued, his tone growing softer. The universe connects us all. Whether we're alone or surrounded by countless civilizations, the fact that we're here, able to ask these questions, that's extraordinary. In that hall, Musk bridged the gap between the scientific and the spiritual, reminding everyone that the search for understanding transcends disciplines, cultures, and even planets. Another audience member, a middle-aged woman, raised her hand next. Her voice was steady but emotional. I lost my husband last year, she said, and since then, I've struggled to find meaning in anything. Hearing you speak tonight, it's made me wonder if maybe I've been looking for answers in the wrong places. Musk's expression softened further, his voice steady and compassionate as he responded. I'm so sorry for your loss, he said. Grief is one of the hardest things we face. I've lost people too, people I loved, people I admired. And it's made me realize that meaning isn't always about finding answers. Sometimes it's about creating them, about building something new out of the pain, something that honors the people we've lost. The audience remained silent, the emotion palpable in the room. And maybe, Musk added, the stars can help. When you look at them, remember that you're part of something vast, something beautiful. Your husband's story is part of that, and so is yours. The woman nodded, tears glistening in her eyes, and the audience erupted into soft applause, an acknowledgement of both her vulnerability and Musk's thoughtful response. The conversation that night wasn't just about rockets or theories. It was about humanity, our fears, our hopes, and our endless desire to find meaning in the universe and in ourselves. The remaining minutes transitioned to more audience questions, covering a range of topics that blend the practical with the philosophical. Musk ends the evening with a closing remark. If you take one thing away from tonight, Musk said, let it be this. The universe is vast, and our time here is brief. But in that brief time, we have the power to ask questions, to seek answers, and to create something extraordinary. So never stop asking. Never stop believing in what's possible. The universe is infinite, and so is our potential. Keep exploring. Share this story. Inspire others to dream, to wonder, and to seek. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories that connect us all.